Hey y'all. Ooh, do we have viewers already? Um, it's me, Karanda from Carvel Digital, and I wanted to come and talk to you about puppies, but of course I have to relate it to business. So, um, my wife said something to me the other day that struck me, and it was that she was reading something about a Vizsla breeder who said they were booked out for like 2 years for puppies, for people wanting puppies. And and they were getting emails, like a dozen emails a day. And it's really, have you tried to get a puppy right now? Apparently it's really hard to get a puppy right now, like from anywhere. Like the shelters are emptier than they've ever been, and breeders are booked out. And so I was thinking about this, of course, with my marketer brain and my automation brain. And I was like, what would I do? What would I do? Aside, friends of ours actually did get a puppy, but they had to go stand in line at 1:45 in the morning to go get this puppy from the rescue. And they weren't even the first in line. So that got me thinking, like, what would I do if I was super like in demand? And so this is what I would do if I was a Vizsla breeder right now. And obviously it could be any breed of dog, but that's what I have. And it's clearly the best breed. You can fight me on that. He's nice and tired because he went and hiked all day with his furry godmother. So this is what I would do. Okay. First thing I would do is I would have a website. That seems super basic, but when it comes to dog people, they're right around the early 2000s, I think, in terms of the internet and their use of the internet. So there's not a lot of great websites out there. And we had a whole saga when we were first trying to, look into getting this puppy. Trying to find information online was really, really hard. And unfortunately, if you find a really good breeder website online, then it's probably a backyard breeder or some kind of puppy mill because they're actually doing it for a business. The folks who are reputable breeders and they're doing this, because they're passionate about it and they want to further the breed are out with their dogs, right? They don't have time for the internet. So that's the unfortunate reality. But hear me out because stick with me. I'm gonna come back around to that because all of my content in June is talking about summer freedom. So if that's you, whether you're a breeder or not, if you like want to get outside this summer, stick with me because I'm going to tell you some really good stuff. So I would have a reputable website and I would talk about like what is a reputable breeder and how do you distinguish, because that's another thing, a trap that people fall into. And I would have answers to a lot of the questions that I get asked every day. So I'm absolutely sure, because I know when we were looking for a dog, we had a ton of questions. Like, this is our first dog and this was our first puppy and we had a million questions. And so what I would do is I would search my inbox and I would take all those questions and I would put the answers on the website in some kind of frequently asked questions format so that I didn't have to spend that time answering those questions over and over and over and over again. So that right there can save you a lot of time. Then there's the matter of, dogs are dogs and we can't control the cycle and the sort of the nature of things, right? So you don't know exactly when you're going to have puppies, but you have all these people who are like, when you have these puppies, like, let me know, right? So I would have a sign-up form saying, okay, you've read all these things. You've read all this information about these dogs. You still think you want one. So if you still think you want one of these dogs, go here to my sign-up page and fill out this form. And on the form, I would have on the initial form, I would probably just have like a few kind of filtering questions, right? Maybe what kind of house do you live in? Do you have small kids? Like whatever sort of your deal breakers are. And I would have people fill out this form and then they would go on to the waiting list and they can just sit there, and it would be even better if you had some kind of automated email that went out when people signed up that says, hey, we got your information. We know you're on the list. This is how long the waiting list is. So don't call us, we'll call you. Right there, you just eliminate sort of like 80 to 90% of the back and forth. And if y'all have questions about this, go ahead and post it. Meredith, thank you. Yes, he is professionally handsome. All right, so you've got your sign up form, you've got your people who are interested, and they go onto your list or into your database, and then they get an automatic email so that they know, yes, this actually worked. I'm on the list. Don't bug me, right? So that's the second thing I would do. The third thing I would do is, as you're getting people onto these lists, I would actually collect some information about them some way. Maybe like you want to know the date people actually signed up because you work on a first come, first serve kind of basis. So that might be important to know. So you could keep, you could note the date. You could note things like where are they in geographically, right? Maybe you only want to deal with handing off dogs to people who are in your region of the country, right? So you could have that information. Whatever is important to you, you could ask them and you could store that information. So that's called segmenting. When you have things about your audience that mean you would talk to them in a different way, or you would, maybe be more likely to work with them than other people, then you want to know that information so that you can segment those people and talk to them a little bit differently, okay? The next thing I would do is, let's say that it comes time for you to actually have these puppies. So probably a few months before that, you want to let people know, like, hey, I've got a litter coming, and I don't know how many it's going to be, but if you're still interested, right, because things happen. Maybe somebody signed up on the list a year ago and they got a puppy somewhere else. So you could email all those people, and you could do it all at once because they're in your system. And you email everybody and you say, hey, if you're still interested, reply to this email, let me know. And when I'm doing this for clients, I have software that if someone replies, or maybe it's if they click a link, something, they can automatically be tagged and categorized based on their actions so that you don't have to keep track of it. So then I would take that list of people who are like, yes, I'm still interested. And by the way, like we stalked our people for like a year and a half. And we ended up having to go to dog shows because not on the internet, right? So we were going to these dog shows and petting everyone's puppies and generally stalking them and pestering. And that's how we got our puppy, which is a whole nother story. And of course I have a whole blog post about that. So then I would send them like the big questionnaire. And this is, I think, pretty typical with breeders. We answered a ton of questions about our lifestyle, about why we want the dog, about what we want to do with the dog, about our experience, which was very little, and yet we got him anyway. So we answered a ton of questions, and what I would do is I would put those all in a form, again, so that the answers go into a database. And then you can look at the things that are really important to you, and you can say, well, let me just weed out people based on this thing that like I know is a deal breaker. So let's say you could ask them, like, how do you feel about crate training? And if somebody's like, I think crate training is evil and it's putting them in jail and I hate it, and you could be like, nope, right? By the way, my boy loves his crate, and he will put himself in there. It's like his little cave. And he gets to come on the bed with us at night. And then after an hour or two, he'd be like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go to my crate. So whatever it is that was important to you, you could ask that question. And then you could just look at all those answers and be like, okay, based on this, these people are gone. And now I'm just going to take this smaller list of people and I'm going to deal with them. And then you can go and review all the answers to see who do you really want on your list to get your precious puppies. So that's what I would do. And then, so let's look at that list and see what have we done? If we took all these steps, like what would that actually do for you? I'm going to just check comments here. And the comments are all about how cute Obi is. Meredith says, would you recommend Q&A pages for all sectors, or are there businesses that this wouldn't work for? I would say that if people ask you questions, then you could have an FAQ. I had a project that I did 3 or 4 years ago, and they were doing everything just with phone and email. So it was a shuttle company that ferried people out to the end of a hiking trail so that they could then hike back and not have to, double shuttle with their cars. They were spending so much time just answering questions in email and answering questions on the phone. and they couldn't take payments online or anything. And so people would just say they were coming, and then maybe they showed up and maybe they didn't, right? So what we did for them was, we created a whole new website, and we had a giant FAQ, because this was a pretty serious endeavor, and there's a lot of dangerous stuff on the trail. It's near the coast, and you have to watch the tides. People can be swept out to sea. Like, you have to get permits. Like, there was all this serious stuff. And so we made this giant FAQ for them. And one of the things that he said to me about 2 weeks after we launched was, he's like, Mo, my phone stopped ringing, which was great, because it meant people were getting their questions answered on the website, and then they were booking immediately online. So that was huge for them. So Meredith, I would say that if you answer questions, if people have questions that they need answered before they can buy from you, then absolutely you should have an FAQ. Or at least produce content that answers frequently asked questions. Like, it might not all be on one page, but have the content. And when people ask me questions, more often than not, I answer them with a link. So, because I've created a lot of content over the years. All right, so let's go back and look at what are the benefits if you were to go through and you were do those things. What are the benefits that you would have? The first one is, if you're getting a dozen inquiries a day from people who are just desperate to have these puppies, you're no longer having to spend the time manually replying to those people, because now you have an automated system that takes their information, automatically replies to them, and lets them know, yeah, you and everybody else's grandma wants a puppy. I know, great, you're on the list. Sit tight, okay? So depending on how long it takes you to do that every week, maybe that's an hour or 90 minutes that you get back a week that you can now spend with your dog. What else? We've got an FAQ, so we're not answering as many questions. And when, let's say, things change and there's an updated answer, you can go and update that one page, and everybody has the up-to-date information. What else? You've got a sign-up page. So when people are interested, you no longer have to field questions from people who are looky-looing, right? Who are just thinking about a puppy, who saw one at the park and suddenly decided to go pester every breeder they could find. You can just filter those people out, because they're all going into your automated system. The next benefit that we have is your segmenting. So you could go into your database of folks who are interested, and you can, pull out however they're categorized. Maybe it's tags, maybe it's custom fields, but you can go in and you say, who are my list of people in Washington who are interested in doing agility? Because I've got a litter of puppies that I think might be good for that. Probably a bad example, but you know what I mean. So you can go and you can pull up, and you can look at people based on different information that you've collected. So then you don't have to email every single person, right? Especially not individually. That's a big one. You can now send an email to lots of people at once, and you can make it relevant, because you can do it to a certain segment of people based on their interests. So that's a huge time saver. Let's say you need to email, 20 people who have expressed interest, but you really need to only email 10 of them. Well, you can pull up a tag or however you've grouped them, and you can just email those people. So that saves you a ton of time. And then the last thing is for, filtering people with the questionnaire. You can have that giant questionnaire, and you can have all those answers in a database. And once you have data collected in one place, not only is it easier for you to manage, but you can go back and you can look at that historically. So you can see, okay, I gave this puppy to people who gave these kinds of answers, and they did really well. And then I gave another puppy to people who gave different kinds of answers to the same question, and they didn't do so well. That puppy didn't fare so well. So it gives you a lot of historical data that you can easily access. And what does all that mean? Now my cats are fighting in the background. Y'all, Obi's like, what's wrong? I need to go check it out. So that means you save a ton of time that you now get to go spend with your dog. So probably if you're watching this, you're not a dog breeder. You might be. I have a few breeder friends on here. But my point in telling you all this is that if you have a service that is in demand, all of these techniques and strategies are available to you to save yourself time, to give yourself more freedom to live your life and spend time doing the things that you want to be doing. And if you're not in demand, then the thing that I would take away from this video is you want to be answering people's questions that are commonly asked in your market, and you want to be doing that publicly. You want to be doing it on video. You want to be doing it on your website. You want to be doing it in places where it can get found later. Now you're going to help. Thank you. Thank you. Don't lick out my earbud. You want to be doing it in places where it can get found later by people who are searching for those answers. And that can help you build audience and build trust and build authority, because people will see your content and think, yeah, this chick knows what she's doing. So that's, if you're not in demand and you want to be, that's the advice that I would give to you. All right. Obi says it's time for him to have dinner. So I'm going to let you all go. Thanks to those of you who tuned in live. If you're catching the replay of this, go ahead and comment with #replay so that I know that you're watching, and go ahead and drop your questions too. I'm happy to come back and answer your questions. And if you need help with this, if you found this useful and you would like to get more content like this, a great place for you to go is to go into my group. Let me see if I have that link. So you can head over to facebook.com/groups/service-CEOs. There's also a short link, carveldigital.com/CEO will also take you there. And you can join my group where I publish content like this all the time, where I do Q&As very often, so you can get your business questions answered. And if you really want to get help with this, I really got to go get my cats. Go ahead and apply for a strategy session at carveldigital.com/apply. All right. Thanks, y'all. I got to go break up the cat fight. Bye.